Hello and welcome to class. It's Leadership 814, Transformational Leadership. It's week 3 assignments. I'm Dr. Greg Parsons, and if you're in the class, please raise your hand. Okay, well, looks like everybody's here, so let's get going. This week we're moving on with our topics to leadership behaviors. The first 2 weeks we were covering the trait-based leadership theories, and now we're going to be moving on. There's kind of a transition point in the 1940s where people stopped worrying about what leaders looked like or how smart they were or what sort of personality characteristics they had, and started talking about, so maybe leadership is more about how people behave. So let's see what Dilbert has to say. Wally says to the boss, "Did you get the link that I sent you about the 10 things that all leaders should do? I also sent you an article about 9 habits of successful people. In addition, I sent you an article about time management and the tricks used by successful people. According to my research, there are 17,429 tricks or hints you need to master to be a good leader, and that might seem like a lot. However, if you master 10 per year, you'll be 1.2% competent by the time you retire." At this point, the boss has heard enough and says, "Why are we having this conversation?" At which point Wally says, "I guess I need to add listening skills to the list." Well, with that said, let's take a look at the week 3 assignments. As I said, the topic for the week are the early behavioral-based leadership models, which kind of grew out of some studies that were done both at Ohio State and Michigan, and you'll see some of the researchers, important researchers at that time. Now, one of the things you'll notice when you deal with leadership and the research is not all of it is coming out of business schools and business journals. A lot of it comes out of the psychology field, and a lot of the people involved in social psychology, such as Warren Bennis and Roger Stogdill and others, were really not in business schools. They were in the field of psychology. But anyway, we have a set of assigned readings that you need to read. Okay. And also in the Start Here section of the class, you should be aware that we have some videos on literature reviews, because that's really what we're doing here. We're studying the topics, but we're really looking at the literature and learning how to read it, interpret it, synthesize it, and write about it. Okay, so I'd like you to take a look at the literature review. The first one was a video I did, and the second one is one that was taken off YouTube from Texas A&M University. Okay, these links won't work obviously in YouTube, so you'll have to cut and paste them from the class itself, or go to the link in Start Here. Now, this may seem like a lot, but this is something you really got to get familiar with and comfortable with as we move forward towards where you're starting to think about what sort of topics you would use for your own research. Unfortunately, I've found some students, even though they're fairly far advanced in their program, are not making good use of the library, may not be able to get in the library, may not be able to find things in the library, and obviously this is the key to being successful in working on your dissertation, is you have to be able to use the library and find things there. So I'll just do a short tutorial here about how to find things in the library. So once you're in, assuming that your password works and that you're able to get to the first screen here, okay, if you can't get this far, you have to go talk to the librarian because something in your sign-in information is not working. Okay, and I've had that unfortunately happen a few times also. So students in their second year and they aren't able to use the library, well, obviously their resources are going to be somewhat limited with regards to what they can write about. Okay, so the first thing you do, of course, is go to the EBSCOhost database. That's the one that I'm using for this class. Now, you can use the ProQuest and you can use the LIRN database, but I found for most of the things that we're working with for this class, the EBSCOhost database for the grad school is the most complete. So click on that, and that'll bring you here. Now, you might as well check the Select All box up at the top here. And that will give you access to everything. So sometimes a journal might be in a different database than the Business Source Complete, and consequently you might miss an article that you want, especially if you're dealing with leadership and the article is in one of the psychology journals. You may not pick it up with a business by simply checking business source complete. So the best idea is just select everything. That means you have access to all the databases within EBSCOhost. And then what we've been doing for this class is simply copying the title of the article. This one is the contributions of the Ohio State study to the field leadership. So you simply copy that out of the class, put it in the search box, and then hit search. And it'll bring up the article 9 times out of 10. Sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes you gotta mess around a little bit, and if you're having real trouble finding it, just send me a note and I'll attach it on an email to you so you can read it. But in general, I really want you to practice looking for things in the library. So here we brought up the article, the contributions to the Ohio State studies to the field of leadership. And here you can save the PDF full text file by downloading it to your computer so you can read it at any time. What I want to do now is I want to click on the article itself. So I clicked on the title, the contributions, and it brings me to the journal that it came out of. So this brings, I have the abstract here. I can read what the abstract is without having to read the whole article. See if this is something that I'm interested in. Okay, and I also see which journal it came from. I also have some subject terms. Now all these blue items are clickable links. They will bring you to something else. Okay, and so we're going to look at a couple of these here. The first thing I want to look at is the source, the Journal of Management. And if I click on that, that brings me to the journal itself, where we have some information about the journal, the publisher, what its general topics are about, whether it's peer-reviewed or not. But over here on the right-hand side, you'll see all these dates. Those are the dates that complete issues of the journal are kept for. So if you look all the way down, scroll all the way down, you see we have complete issues of the Journal of Management going way back in time. And this is a good thing to know, because if you want to go in and see what people are currently writing about in this particular journal, what's being published, you can simply click on the year you're interested in, and then click on the month that you're interested in. This journal publishes 6 times a year, so you choose the bi-monthly issue that you're interested in. And here there are, for the January 2015 issue, there are 14 articles, and you have a link. You don't get a PDF here, you get a hyperlink to the full text, which you can also then copy and download to your computer. And so you can see what people are currently publishing in this journal. Okay, so that's a good idea when you identify journals that are important to the field that you're working in. It's a good idea to go in and see, so what sort of things are people publishing, or has something come up new that would be important to the field, you know, what I'm thinking of doing for my topic, because we're always looking for current types of research. So that's one way to find more articles, more information that you might be interested in, is to go to the journal itself and see what the articles are that are currently being published. Now another way is to click on one of the subject terms, and this will bring you to a huge volume of information. As you can see, these subject terms are pretty broad: leadership, management, study and teaching. So if you click on any of these, they'll bring up thousands. And then another way to search is to find similar results, and this would be similar results to this particular article, the contributions of the Ohio State studies. So if I click on Find Similar Results, I get access to 18 million results. Now some of these will be in books, some of these will be dissertations, some of these will be non-peer-reviewed, some of them will be peer-reviewed. But you can go ahead and then search, limit that search based upon what you're looking for. Some of them will have full text available, some of them will not. But you do have a lot to choose from. So another way to get information about what's going on in the field related to a particular article that I've assigned to you is to click on related items, and that'll bring up a lot more. Okay, not that you're expected to read all 18 million of them. However, as you search through, and now I've shown you how you can look at the abstract and can find out more information about it, you may find things that are important and relevant to how you're planning on writing your paper. Okay, so there's a number of different ways to use the library and search information to be able to access more articles that will contribute to your understanding as well as your research in the area. So now that we've done that, let's take a quick look at the discussion question for this week. There's no paper in week 3, but we will be talking about the behavioral models of leadership and how these contribute to the evolution of leadership research. Okay, so you'll be reading the assigned articles, you'll be looking at additional information, and then you'll be posting about how the behavioral models are different, what they added to the trait-based models, and then how these contribute to the next set of research that we'll be looking at. Okay, so you should see who the main figures are, you should see where the studies were conducted, you should see the results of what the studies were, you should see the research that was based upon those studies and how that's still being used today as a basis of ongoing research into leadership. So, the keys to success. The readings that are assigned for each week are meant merely as a starting point, and that the expectation is, based upon the information I've given you about using the searching techniques within the library, is you'll come up with additional information. Once you've established the plan that you want to use to write your post or your article, your paper for the week, then you look for more things that'll support the point of view that you're trying to take. So this requires reading, and you've got to set aside time to read things. Sometimes you can get by with simply scanning the abstract and looking at the conclusions, and you'll find something there. Sometimes you really got to spend time reading the articles and understanding what the point of the article was, what the authors were trying to say. When you are reviewing the literature for the week, I don't want simply a review. Article A said this, Article B said this, Article C said this. I don't want simply a review of the articles. I want a synthesis or an analysis, which means you have to come up with a plan of what you want to write your story about, what the story for this week is, and then how these articles build as evidence to the story you're trying to tell. You're going to be using additional literature to support your approach. The more the better. As I said in last week's lecture, it's like building a case for a legal case. The more evidence you can bring to bear, the more likely you're going to get the jury to vote your way. So don't be afraid to look up more information in the library. It's fast. This is not like going in the old days, going into the stacks and trying to search for things in the books, and simply doing an electronic search provides lots of information, so you should have no shortage of additional sources and references for your work. And finally, look ahead. All the information that we're doing in this class combines itself to future assignments. So the references that you used in the first set of week's assignments will build into this week's assignments. The references and the thinking that you do in this week's assignments will build into next week's assignments, and so on and so forth. It's all cumulative, and all these should also build towards your dissertation if you're doing it in leadership, and you should be because you're in a leadership class. So this should all also fit into future work. So make a catalog of the references that you've found. Make short notes about how this particular article, what it says and how you can use it. Make sure that you've got an APA reference in a file so that you can simply pull that reference out and slap it into the reference list when you're putting together a paper. So don't look at each assignment as independent, look at them as cumulative. Okay, well, if you have any questions, you know how to get in touch with me, and until next week, goodbye and good luck.